Alright, it's recording. That is recording. Okay. Oh, now today we have this beautiful projector on this not so beautiful wall. We're going to discuss this beautiful picture. So lots of beauty today. So do you know anything about Claude Lorrain?
No.
No, you didn't do your homework.
No.
Well, you knew we were going to discuss that painting today. Well, anyway. So Claude Lorrain, as you can see on Wikipedia, well, he was born around year 1600. And today people say, oh, he's a French painter. It's not true. He was born in Lorraine, which is why he's called Claude Lorrain. He lived most of his life in Italy. He was working all his life in Italy. So he's more like an Italian painter, if anything.
Okay.
And famous for his landscapes. So why do we have this Lorraine, French, Italian painter today? Well, because I like the painting, that's one thing. Because he's really popular with the English collectors. I don't know why, but the English really like his paintings. And a lot of people who have a collection of his paintings are English. And that specific painting is in Oxford. Oxford is British. So that's how we can talk about it today. That was his last painting, and it's his masterpiece. Well, I didn't know it was his masterpiece. I just saw the painting and thought, wow, that's an amazing painting. Let's have a look at it. And then I learned that, yeah, everybody thinks it's great. So it's like another proof. It's called Ascanius shooting Sylvia's stag, which is what we see here. So do you know anything about that story? No? The Aeneid? Virtually? No?
We haven't met.
Haven't met. So it's a classical story. So that guy here is son of Aeneas, who came from the Iliad. Yeah. And he's about to shoot the stag, who was a pet of Sylvia, who was the daughter of the local king, the king of the Latins.
Okay.
He shoots the stag. He doesn't know it's a bad idea. He thinks it's a normal stag. He shoots the stag, the war begins, he wins, and that is how the Roman Empire starts, in short. That's how it starts. The whole history, the great Roman Empire, which never ended. It's here with us today.
Is it?
It is. It never went away. I don't mean just Britain, it's everywhere. If you think that the Roman Empire is gone, then look again. We still use the Roman law, if anything. Lots of Latin words, Latin thinking. Wow. So that's how it all started. So let's just have a look at the painting. Take it in. I know you have some funny leaves. Just imagine it's the front in front of them. So what do you feel? Just as you look at the picture, what impression do you get? What air? Is it funny? Is it sad?
Well, to me, it doesn't look funny. It doesn't look sad. There's lots of harmony, I would say, in the picture. Quiet harmony, which means sadness or gaiety or things like that are outside. They are not something that belongs to this picture. On the other hand, as I say there's harmony, I look at the picture again and I see something that basically destroys harmony, so to speak. So there's lots of harmonious things which are natural, well, phenomena which are natural, but then the man appears with a bow in his hand, who is about to bring destruction to something beautiful. And this disrupts harmony, absolutely. Indeed, you might say that this ruin, which looks beautiful as a ruin, might also be a sign of destruction, because it looks to me, it looks like a ruin, not like something that is still in good use today when the picture is happening. But I don't really think that this ruin is that this ruin destroys harmony. It doesn't. It's sort of
classical.
Yeah, it's classical, and it's sort of
a part of
the landscape. Unlike the people here who look like intruders.
They are intruders. It's not their land. They just landed. They just sailed from another country. They just came there. They know nothing. They're hunting. Okay. So, what is the message? Because as you look at the picture, there's something that you see immediately. It's a very big picture. The original is like a meter and a half. It's bigger than that, I think. It's bigger than that.
Is it in Italy? Is it in Italy?
No, it's in Oxford.
At Oxford.
Like I said in the beginning, it's
yeah,
in
so
Oxford.
it's part of somebody's
British culture now.
Yeah. Right. Collection. Okay.
So if you want, because it's like a classical subject, a man shooting the pet stag of Sylvia. Sylvia means a forest, forest goddess. So it's the same story as with Diana, Artemis, lots of those female forest goddesses who had their pet stags, and then the man comes and tries to kill it or kills it, and then he's got lots of problems coming to him. In that case, his problems turn to good, because his family, his clan, becomes the founder of the Roman Empire. So in his case, it turns out well. Also, the subject, the plot is classical. But anyway, if you want to paint the story, so that's the turning point, just before he shoots. So if you want to tell that story, what are you going to paint? Normally, what do people paint? They paint the man.
Yes.
And the stag.
And yes. And the
big,
victim.
so you
and
can
the victim.
see it.
Yeah.
So what is different with that picture?
Well, the difference is obvious. Both man and
The stag?
the stag are quite small compared to how big all these natural landscape figures are, compared to the mountains in the background, to a huge sky, to big trees, to very long stream, something like, and even the man-made structure over there, the ruin, is enormously big compared, yes.
Well, that's big too, that's big too.
Yeah.
It's far away, so it's not so big. But that is really big.
Yeah.
That is quite big. They're just tiny behind the
They are just tiny.
So why? What might be the idea?
Well,
okay, one idea might
yes.
be that you just like landscapes and you don't like painting people. That would be one thing. But then, why would you like to say, oh, that's Ascanius shooting the stag? You could just do your landscape if that's what you like. So why combine it? How can you read it? Because reading a painting is not very different from reading a poem or reading a film or reading some music. But you need some training to read music like this, slow listening to music. You do need some training. And the films, they develop in time, so it's a bit difficult, same as music. But painting or a poem is something that you can see all at once. So you read it in the same way.
Yeah.
So why?
Well, another explanation might be that people are, in fact, really small. They aren't as powerful as they think themselves to be. And because the person knows the title of the painting, he might know how the story ends. So there's something big, something that lies outside man's control.
So it's bigger than
it's
the
bigger
character.
than the character. It's something that can sort of be destroyed partially, but in fact it is never fully destroyed, and in fact it is so big that it lives again. It can be revived, and it never really stops. So unlike the man who probably is proud of her doings.
So that painting says that you're only a part of history.
Yeah.
What you do, you're not important in yourself, or not so important in yourself, but you become a part of a greater picture. Because what do we see here is very interesting, because on one hand, painting is static. It doesn't move through time like music or like a film. But how can we show time in painting if it doesn't move? That's how we can do successive planes. Yeah, then our vision moves along the planes, changes, and that's like developing. Or we can put an ancient Roman ruin here before the Roman Empire started. So we have the beginning of the Roman Empire and the end of the Roman Empire in the same picture. Yeah, we have lots of movement here.
Yeah,
Can you see?
which probably means that already, as they start building the Roman Empire, its collapse, its end, is in the picture. They are something that eventually leads to destruction.
Inevitable.
It is inevitable.
So
And
the
again, it's outside their control. They think, yes, we have our weapons. We can do this and we can do that. We can do whatever we choose, which is not really the case, because if you do something with this natural balance, if you upset it, there's going to be some revenge, so to speak.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but
shooting stags is normal, hunting is normal. So that's the irony in the picture, because it's 1 millisecond, 1 second before it happens.
Yeah.
It's completely peaceful, and a second later it's war. Because that guy thinks it's all right. He thinks because shooting stags in general is normal. It's just a game, a hunting. So he doesn't see any problem. He doesn't think he's against law or something. He thinks he does something normal, like brushing your teeth in the morning, killing stag, normal. And the stag is happy too. Kind of smiling. You can't really see it here, but if you have a better quality, you can see that the stag is smiling, and he's calm. He looks back at Ascanius, because the stag is important. He's a pet of the princess. He knows that nobody can touch him, so he doesn't think for a second that somebody can hurt him, but he doesn't know that he doesn't know about it. Yeah. So it's a moment of perfect balance, and this person is happy and sure, and that guy is happy and sure, and then bam! Yeah, just a second before. So we have lots and lots of things in this picture to see. We have lots of movement, we have lots of depth, we have lots of connections, and so that's how you tell the story. So if you have a poem, then you use words and images. If you have a painting, what can you use?
well, images. Imagery is the only thing that
so you can use
is available to you.
Color and lines and movement of how our eyes are following the painting.
Yeah.
And that's how you tell your story.
In fact, there was someone who tried to explain how one famous Russian poet read sculptures. And in fact, as you see a poem describing a sculpture, you transform it in your home into something that is moving. I think that it's also true for this picture. The movement is there. It is obvious. You might.
It's obvious. Where is it?
Well, you might not know the story, but you see someone holding the bow, and you see his potential victim, and you know that the next moment the arrow is going to end somewhere.
So that's one thing.
That's something that you can predict, even though you might be absolutely unaware of anything else.
Yeah, so what we want here is to connect the two and to show that it's really important. So that's two different worlds. The new world, the big new world that is coming, and the old world, which is classical tradition, which is about to fall. How do you tell it? If you don't have words, you only have images, and the one painting, not a comic. So what do you do? Well, first of all, you show the connection. Like you said, we have the arrow pointing at him. We have him obviously looking at the stag, and we have the stag looking back. That's one connection. Then we have these guys on the bridge moving. Again, that's connecting the two parts. And of course we have the great big, that's what you see. That's the first thing you see as you look at the painting. You don't see these guys down here. You see the great big movement, this whirlpool in the sky. You see how those silvery trees, beautiful silvery trees, moving there, become clouds. You see, they turn into clouds, it's continuous. Turn to clouds, clouds turn into tree again, then you have this slope here, down here, down here. So you have this movement, a whirlpool, which is that way. Is something wrong with it?
Well, I hope not.
Hope not. So that's another very big kind of connection. It's not just linear, that's linear. It's a line, it's linear. But that's not linear. It's a spiral, like a circular spiral. So maybe that's another reason why the sky is so big here, because this movement in the sky is bigger than the human doings. Yeah. So it's not his decision, it's his fate sent by the sky. I bet.
Yeah, and again, probably the important thing about the picture is that what's going to happen is quite predictable, even though you might be unaware of the story. If you know the story, you also know that once the killing is done, all consequences are to follow, including, as you say, the building of the Roman Empire, the rise of the Roman Empire, and its downfall, its eventual downfall. Again, this probably means that not only do humans fail to control nature, they also fail to control what happens in their own human society that is more or less ruled by humans, by themselves. So it's like many philosophers say, if you can read, you can already decipher in a small seed the plant that's going to grow out of it. If you can read in human hearts, or if you can read nature, you can probably see all those events, including really important events like the Roman Empire, that are on their way already. They are already sort of in the picture.
Oh, how's the camera going?
Well, it's flashing, but I might. Do you think it's?
Oh, just have a look. I don't say.
Well, yes, it is recording.
Okay, good.
And there's some 10 minutes left before this half-hour break.
Okay. So, what else do we have here? We have two realities. Yeah? And we show that they are separated.
Yeah.
So normally, what would you see? They are in a forest or in some landscape. Here, it's stressed out, it's highlighted. The reality is not just two characters, it's two worlds, and one is invasive.
Yeah.
He's got all these people here and the dogs and all these huge buildings. And that side has only the Stag and the building up there, far away, and it's really old, you can see it. So we have the separation, we have two shores, we have water and the sky all that between them. The contrast is great, so we can see it immediately, the dark and light, all this. So what's the moral, so to speak? As we have these two realities, what happens to them in time? They go distant. So if you look, so our eyes move from here to there, the perspective. So here, it's all connected. There's no break here. It's one world, one reality. Then here, it starts to distance. You see? But it's not far. It's like an arrow's flight. And maybe you can jump from here to here. It's still close. But once it's done, it keeps moving away. The old traditional world and the new, they become more and more distant. At first, you still have a bridge between them. They're still connected. You may think of two cultures, old culture and the new culture. And at first there's no difference. But then they start being a bit separated. And one says, no, I'm the main culture. I kill you.
Yeah.
I replace you.
Yeah.
I replace you.
Yeah.
It's my world now. And then, you see, it's a bridge, but it's a very big bridge. It's not like here, short distance. You see people and the huge animals all moving there. And then you don't even have the bridge. All you have is this big water, and you have a little boat sailing there, which shows you the distance again, shows you great, great distance. So these two shores become more and more apart. You see? Interestingly, we have some empty boats here. So you have the boats, but nobody's using them. There are no people on that side. You have lots of people here. You have somebody moving from here to here, there, yeah, on the bridge. But you have no one in this part, only the stag, which is an animal. Again, you may think it's like old culture where animals were really important. Maybe. What else is interesting here? Can you see anything interesting?
Well, as you said, the arrow is to connect these two worlds. Then they are supposed to be physically connected because the people, the hunters, the invaders, are supposed to cross the stream,
to collect
cross it to collect the border.
The game.
Yeah, and that means that more or less they cross this Rubicon, they cross this stream that divides them from, But that is what's going to happen. And again, we know it. There was a knock at the window. We know it. We know it's going to happen. And that my question is, we kill this animal, we cross the border into this animal's world, into old culture's world. Does it mean that old culture ceases to exist after the killing and is conquered by us, by the hunters who cross the stream, who kill the animal and who sort of take everything under their control?
Well, that's what history says, doesn't it? Then you cross it and you became it. Then somebody else comes here when you're settled down here to take your place in its turn. well, that's true. You kill them, you replace them, you become them. Because that's like a place. If you come here, you occupy that place. Then to occupy that place, you have to be suitable. You have to become a part of that place. And then you're no longer that guy. You belong here, in a different way, in your own way, but still you're affected by it. And then somebody else comes and does the same to you. Yeah.
And again, as you say, then it's not line, it's a cycle.
Yeah, we have lines here. We have lots of lines here.
Yeah.
So what lines do we have here? We have the bridge, we have the arrow, it's horizontal. Here we have the spire here, the spear, and the columns. You see, that guy is separated. We can see that he is important because he has this nice slit between his legs. No. We can see that he's important because that guy with the spear separates him. We have the guy with the spear separating him. We have that building here separating him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, whereas he is shown to be quite dynamic,
Yeah.
the rest are just standing and again
not looking at him.
not looking at him, and he's sort of moving. They are more or less static. They just stand and do nothing, and they, as you say, and one of them isn't even looking.
And he's wearing red, which is the only red bit in the picture, so you can see him immediately. All that, like you say, dynamic action, and that he's separated from the group, and how he's engaged with the stag with the other side, all shows that he's important. There's something fun about these figures. If you look at them, they're really long. They're not proportional.
Really?
They're too long for real people. Just look. That's his legs, like that, and that's his body. He's really long, and these guys are really long too.
Okay.
So one of the reasons was that Claude wasn't very good at drawing people. He did his best. He's like, well, I just can't do it. And but maybe that's not the reason, because if you're a painter, you can see what you're doing. You say, oh well, something's not quite right here. You can see that the proportion is wrong, and you can make the figure a bit shorter.
And again, I think it's true for many painters that are not really famous. They can't calculate. They can calculate the proportions. They can't paint pictures.
That was kind of part of his style on one hand, but maybe he did lots and lots of images from the Bible and from the Aeneid, and the same story, which is like again classical. Maybe my idea, what it reminds me of. Where else do we have long people in paintings? Do you know a style where we have unproportionately long bodies? Because I know one such style.
Something medieval.
Something icons?
Yes, that was what I was going to say, yes.
So we have the same kind of people on icons. Maybe that's to show that he's not a real person, but a character, that he does not really belong to the physical world, that he belongs to something greater and bigger, to the myth. Maybe, it's just an idea. Okay. Now, why do we need to have this great big column thing right behind him?
Well, an obvious reason might be to symbolize the Roman Empire, symbolize something that is immediately recognized by.
Yeah, but we could have it a bit in distance, like there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's just so big. You can't really, unlike all these small buildings somewhere in the background, you can't really avoid looking at it, thinking about it.
Right. So the column lions can be like culture called pressing on their heads. Making them look tiny. But he is not there. He belongs to a different story. He's in between. At that moment, he's in between the future and the past. That is going to be past, that is going to be future. Which again is a bit backwards in the way we read it, the same as we read text. From here to here. From, what is it, left to right?
Yes.
I'm not with it. From left to right. So we read paintings. That's how our eyes move. We start here, we move here. And that is why he stands here, because then our eyes follow it there. It's more natural for us to see the events. Future is behind him and past is in front of him, so it's all backwards. Or maybe it's a cycle. If you go out of the frame here, you return here. It can be, it can be. It's kind of space which is not infinite, but limited. So if you leave one side, you just reappear on the other side. So maybe that's how it works. Then it's again a cycle. Also, you can see that the people are columns. We have 4 columns, really tight here. And the space below the columns, more or less, that's these guys. 1, 2, 3. White here and the white dog here. You can see it. There's white and then white. That's dark and that's dark. Maybe that's also the connection. So they represent that new culture. They are those founding columns.
And in fact, as I think of the dog, it is part of nature, like the stag, but it's clearly different. It belongs to this human culture. It is only done because it belongs to humans. Unlike the stag, who does not belong, who is free and, as you say, looks back at them with quite calm, like someone who has all the rights here to welcome the visitors, and who does not really expect them to shoot.
And you can also see this little smaller story within the big story, how the man is talking to the dog. They're of the same color and they look at each other. So it's like maybe again a bit of irony, but that livens up the painting, because it's not just static. Oh, okay, it's just one thing that's happening. We have lots of things happening at the same time, and so that is a bit funny because I don't know if it's like the master and the dog, or like a friend, but they're connected in a friendly way, like oh doggy doggy. Well, these guys are like, oh, serious business. So, and you can chat to a dog if you don't think that it's about to be a great war. So what else do we have here? So we have this vertical connection, and we have this like, the man, the dog, again those curves, nice curves. And we have this blue and this blue. So again, our eyes are moving. Our eyes are moving here, so it's small, it's bigger, and that's really big. It's the same blue, I think. So it's growing, expanding. Yeah. So what about it? Where does this go? That spear goes, where does it go? To his leg here, to his foot. Interesting. And that spear goes, where does it go? Where does it go? Where does it go? To his arrows. Interesting. So they're pointing at him in a way. At the same time, that is backwards again.
Yeah.
Backwards, where the... Very interesting. But then again, as we speak about the ruins, they're aggressive. They have those straight lines up there. because that's dome, that's round, that's really round. Yeah. So again, it shows the aggression. There's something spiky here, an angle. Yeah.
Does it look cold to you?
Cold.
I thought it looked cold to me, but it doesn't really look cold. I mean, the ruin. It looks, well, it looks.
It looks solid.
Yeah, it looks solid, but there's also something, I think, well, if I may say, touching about it. There's something that.
Oh, we love
that makes you. Yes, they are romantic, but it seems that the ruin alone can tell its own story. So there's maybe a secret hidden in the ruin. These ruins know something that they don't know, that we don't know.
Then again, it's like a little gate here. You see that part, the columns is more or less solid, like a wall. Or maybe it's like a gate and it's falling down, about to close the passage, block the passage. So you pass through it, you have that space here, to pass. And as everybody moves here, it falls down, moves down, and gate is closed, no way back. Yeah? Like that. So another thing which is interesting here is we have lots of successive planes. Really, and each plane has its story. We look at the first plane because it's the first plane, it's in front of us, it's what we can see well, and that's where the main story is happening. At the same time, we have all those other planes. So we have these guys here on the bridge. So the bridge is man-made. And who builds a bridge? These guys to get here, or these guys to get there? What's our suggestion?
Well, my suggestion is that they are the guys to our right who have built the bridge. Because building something is really making something new rather than destroying something. So these guys look, well, they don't look aggressive, but they look like someone who can only destroy things.
What are they doing here? Are they destroying? No. What are they doing here? Who are they? Who can they be? Do they look aggressive? They look peaceful. They look like merchants.
They look like merchants.
So they have the animals again. Big animals, people just moving quietly across the bridge. Again, in between, not here, not there. And you can see these rocks, I think, and these arcs, these little things, 1, 2, 3, round, and 1, 2, 3, reflecting, you see, connected. So this nature, rocks, becomes the bridge man-made. Yeah. And then it's easy to cross it, because here you still need to try to cross it. Here you can cross it, no problem, because there's nothing much to cross. Here you need to try to cross it. Here you make it easy to cross. You force it, you arrange it, you change it. But then we have that plane with the sea. So why do we have the sea here? Why do we need to have 1, 2, well, you can't really see, but you have a few boats with sails.
Well, again, the sea is huge. It stops somewhere behind the horizon. We can't see where the sea ends, so it's endless to us. And again, that adds to the powerful message that nature has to tell us. And then again, there are some ships in water, which mean that although it's huge, it can still be mastered. You can still travel. You don't really have to have a huge bridge to cross the sea. You can do that in these boats.
Well, if you look at these guys, these white bits at the top, maybe you can connect it here and then goes there. Because you have that is white bit going up, connecting with that sail, connecting with that mountain, and then it goes to this far shore. So they're here, connected to that distant shore. What was it, baby? So the boat and the mountain are connected in shape and in color and in the direction. So the world has many planes to it. And then again, we talked about the columns and how they're huge, but the trees are big as well. They're bigger than the columns. They connect with the sky, with clouds.
Yeah.
So maybe that is to say that nature is at least as big as culture, or maybe bigger. Maybe. So what about the buildings? So that's one thing. What about that dome, that castle, tower, and what about that town, castle, something? So how are they connected?
Well, they are connected because they are in the background. In that sense, they look like buildings, but we are unable to see any details. They might be deserted buildings.
Well, we can see that this one is broken.
This one is broken, so it's really not something inhabited.
And this one is behind trees, so apparently it's forgotten as well. It's deserted because it's not in a clean place. It's hidden behind trees. You still have these strict lines, which is like culture here. Same as the columns, straight lines. Oh, this one is more round, so it's more distant. It's softer, it's more distant. The closer you are here, the more straight lines you have. At the same time, we connect that place and that time, that moment, with that faraway place and time, because we have it, those buildings growing smaller, going far away, more far away, and our eye follows it in that direction as it goes away. And then we look at that building and we see the connection here and here. So they're more or less the same. Round towers. Yeah. So then through that, maybe that's how you connect the distant past and future, which is going to be in the past again, as when you look at the picture. Because when he made the picture, that was past. It's past for somebody who looks at it.
Yeah.
Here, it's future at the same time.
Yeah, and again, it's double past for us because the time when the picture was painted is past for us. When you say something about the connection between the buildings, it looks like there's a castle built on a huge mountain, a huge rock, which is not covered. That one, yes, that one, which is not really covered by any trees. Again, that might imply that it is really, really old because you can't imagine someone living there where there's, which looks like a desert.
It's really old because on one hand, like you say, it's built on a rock. But look, it's the same color as the rock.
Yeah.
It's as old as the rock. That's what you can tell with color alone.
Yeah, and in fact, when I sit here, when I don't come closer and look at what I can see about this castle,
that's what
it looks. Yes, it looks like
from a distance.
It looks like it is part of the rock because you can see the tower. You can make out the shape of the tower, but
the light is
the light,
and it's like this.
Yeah, but again, if somebody says Okay, you think it's a castle, but it's not really a castle. But that's just a funny shape of the mountain. Then
it can be true as well.
It can be true as well. Yeah. So it seems like something.
So the same. That's a parallel. We have the columns above the people standing on people. So people become columns, or columns become people. Free and free. And the same is with the stag. Look at his head, his neck and his head, and it's right. Yeah, you can just draw a straight line. It's straight below that tower, which has the same shape as his neck. So he belongs to that world, and he and that world are the same as these people, and the columns are the same. So it's really amazing and beautiful how you can tell all of that in one painting, because that's what you say. You say it's not just a one event in history. It's whole history here. It's people. It's not two people. It's two worlds, and even two kinds of architecture shows you that, because that is an ancient kind of a tower. You think of, I know, really old history before the Greeks.
Yeah.
That's the kind of castles they were building back then. That's like classical Roman thing with fancy columns here.
Yeah.
And it's already really old. You can see above here it has cracks, and apart from it being ruins, it's really ruined, falling apart.
Oh yeah. And still, it's quite beautiful. It's quite beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's got some amazing lights in it, and or maybe you can't really see it well. This quality above the trees are silvery, really beautiful. They are lit, and here on both sides they're silvery. So the whole painting is filled with that kind of strange and earthly light, very gentle. So very fragile, same as with long people, strange long people, always air inside it, moving, and the fragile silvery leaf just touched with the gold of the sun. It makes it, well, really fragile. It makes you feel like it's here, but it's unstable. You breathe at it and it falls apart. It's very gentle. It's a piece of history. All history turns here, but at the same time it's really gentle. It's this beautiful still point, a point of stillness between before and after. And just before all this action unfolds. So where is the sun? Where is the sun? Where does the sun come from? Who's got the sun in the painting?
Well, I would say those who are on our right. But
look at the shadows.
But yes, if I look at the shadows and the light, I think there's more light in the left part of the sky, in that part of the sky which belongs.
So we have gold here.
Yes.
We have it just a little bit here, a little bit here. So the sun comes from here. That part, is it the left part? The part with the people has the power. Because if you have the sun, you have the power. That's where light comes from. Light is like power. And they have it. They're more powerful. Before all that happens, they're already more powerful. What kind of light is it? Is it daylight? It doesn't look like daylight.
Yeah.
Is it morning or evening?
Well, I suppose it's evening. I don't know. You probably don't go hunting in the evenings, but still it doesn't look like morning to me. I don't know.
It doesn't look like morning to me either.
It looks like the sun is already setting, and again, mornings have, and morning sun has a certain promise about it. There's something beautiful in it because there's a beautiful day ahead. Here, there's, as you say, something that looks maybe dangerous just because it's very fragile. And the sun again is not really powerful. The sun in the morning might be powerful, and you know that it's going to be. And sunset means there's daylight is coming to a close, and there's something new, something dark that is going to.
Well, let's say it's just a classical image of an end. Morning, the beginning. Evening, sunset is the end.
Yeah, and then so, you are left wondering what's going to happen next after the end is there.
Well, maybe yes, maybe no, but still, again, it's the same as with the column. On one hand, it's big and strong. At the same time, it's already in ruins. Same with the sun. They have the sun on their side, but it's a setting sun. They're going to win, but it's not a good victory because they're going to die anyway. Eventually. Yeah, so the end of the empire is already here, the whole story of empire. So you have your merchants, you have your trade with other countries, or maybe they're like you have colonies, you have these the travels, big travels, you go everywhere, and still the sun is setting and your house is in ruins, however big it may appear to be. Maybe that's a moral too. So what else can we see here? Interesting. So that line of the rock on the Stag side comes down, and you can see the line, the same, the line continues here. So it's a big, I don't know, a big bit. So it's all connected through that line. It goes to the bolts. Can you see? With like a line. So that place in the background is connected with the middle place. It's connected with the stag by the tower and the neck. It's connected with this middle bit by the line here. What else do we have here? And that's another line which goes down like this, separating the stag, this oval, you see? See? So again we have like layers of separation. That's one layer, that's another layer, and it's a curve. One curve, another curve. Maybe it's like a force field, something to distance, but it's not going to help. Yeah? It's separated 1, 2 layers. Do we have any other layers here? Oh, that little town in the background obviously continues to that shore, just in front. And that is lighter. That's a little line back here from these trees. The dome is another curve, and that two bits here goes down. So it's like a force projected into force. That guy projects his force, 1 from the dome, 2 from the little tower, and the stag projects his force from the tree above him, that curve here, and the tower above here continue down, because we are bigger than ourselves. We're not just a physical body, it's the aura of the air around you, which is like private space. So that's his private space, that's this guy's private space, and in between them, what do we have? Just where they go, we have one kind of bridge, a rock connecting it with trees or rocks, and the real bridge, you see? Interesting. And the boats, the 2 boats, are inside the stag's field. They're empty, there's no one there. they're already dead, apparently, because nobody comes there. Interesting. Anything else we can see here? Maybe if I look up a little bit. On one hand, you have these static lines. At the same time, they're connected to this curved movements. And the main focus is still, we look at the action. But if you look at the painting as a whole, then you don't see it. You're not interested. You look somewhere here where nothing is happening. You have the sky.
Yeah.
So.
Well, again, it might be due to the fact I opened it on my laptop when I saw it the first time. But again, as you say, the first thing I see as I open it as a file, not as a real picture at Oxford, is huge sky and then these huge columns to my left. And only after I look at these, I notice
the details,
which are
the
really what the people
characters,
the main characters,
become details.
And there. And again, I'm not sure. Do I see the stag first, or do I see the people first? Maybe the people. And then the stag, maybe because the bow is directed, the arrow is directed, it's pointing at the stag.
Or maybe you can see the stag because, well, on one hand you see this movement which is all directed to that part of the picture, and you can see it's already smaller. It occupies a smaller space than that part, so because that's invasive, that comes here, conquering it. It's expanding. It's already bigger than it, but the movement is directed here. So that's how your eyes follow it. You see the columns here. You follow them up. Then from the columns, your eyes follow the tree, and you see the great. That's what captures you in the painting. That movement here. And then goes down, and then you see the stag. And then you notice the people here, because, well, maybe because you have the column here, and the people are more or less the same color, and as the trees are kind of brownish, darkish, you might not see like another collective spot. Like here you have the ground, here you have the columns, here you have people, just something. But the stag is singular. Just one character here, so you can see him immediately. Or what is that place? Maybe it's Babylon. Maybe. Could be. So maybe it's this idea of tranquility. Whatever happens here and then, it doesn't really matter, because the sky remains. So ruins are something that remains, more or less in time, like mountains, ruins. We like them. They are one of the symbols of eternity, or they just stay there. So they just stay there, whatever happens. The sky stays there, whatever happens. And all the human affairs seem so small, tiny. Maybe. Is that what history is about?
Maybe. And again, when you think about it, we use the shapes. Well, there's always something interesting to look in the sky. The shapes of these classic columns were later replicated in buildings, for example, in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, and then again they were popular sometime in the 20th century, where they sort of borrowed something from it. So it seems like there's something eternal that's in modified form is always there, and there's something that just comes and goes, like the people, like the clothes they are wearing, like the weapons they are using. Maybe it wasn't really true. Now I have control over cameras.
Going?
It seems so.
Okay, good. So another funny thing, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but the man is wearing red and blue, which are like traditional Christian colors. What's the color of Jesus' clothes? Is it blue and red? Or red and blue? But still,
I don't know, yeah.
maybe on one hand it's like, well, okay, it's just blue, it's just red, nothing unusual, cause classical colors, nice and easy to see and connect to water and the sky. Yeah, so he's a part of that story. He's separated from the people who don't really belong to him. They belong to the columns in their color, in their position. They belong to some old separate story. He belongs to that new development. Maybe that's why he's wearing blue and red. But at the same time, it kind of makes you think about Christian colors. That's what we use a lot. Maybe. Another interesting thing which you may notice is the boats, because we have the boats there with sails, means with people on it, active traveling, discovering, alive, and kicking. And these boats, so forgotten, no sails, no people, not traveling, just standing there, doing nothing. And this kind of sad color which makes them a part of the landscape, whether you can clearly see the boat here, which kind of looks like a mountain there, but you know it's a boat. So that's another connection, because you can see them here connected. The slope of the sail, that line goes and points at the boat here, right at the mast, the foundation of the mast. So again, it makes the connection, tells you the story. You're pointing. You say, look at it here, look at it there. That world is dead. That world is developing. Yeah? Okay, what else do we see here? This beautiful, beautiful plant. Because you may think, what's in the front? What is in the front? The guys? No! You're more interested in that beautiful little flower, which is like a star or something. You look at it, it's right in front of you in great, again, detail, just here. You can come and look at it, and then you don't care about the guy here. Again, I really like it. I really like it. And it's little sparkles. So you notice that there's something here as well. It's really nice. So what else do you see in here? Anything more? Obviously you have lots of straight lines here, not only with the columns. The spare goes to the dome, and again it's the same line as the central, how do you call it, half column, fake column thing. It's one line. So they connected with the columns, they connected with that dome. It goes down right on his head, I think. Yeah. Nice. So all these buildings have straight lines, and the trees are kind of straight lines here, except for those up here. So lots and lots of straight lines in this part, but no straight lines here. Well, except for the mast, but you can barely see it really. Maybe the neck is more or less a straight line, but it's connected to the tower. Interesting. So we have these kind of curves, lots of curves. We have curves like this, vertical, let's say. We have horizontal curves again. The sky, like a cup. The sky, and then a smaller one here with water. Yeah? So again, it's like separating these two realities in vertical way and in horizontal way, but not in straight lines, in curves. Amazing. Anything else? Anything else you can notice? Anything interesting?
So, do you think someone can say, okay, the meaning of now we have looked at the picture as a whole, we have touched the details, now I'm able to tell you what the meaning of the picture is. The meaning of the picture is it possible?
The one little detail, the meaning for you. It's one little detail. It's same as with poetry. When we read a poem, we look at it this way, that way, to see how it's connected with us, ourselves. How do we feel about, what do we see? And well, at the same time, if you see something more general, then it helps you to feel the idea of the painting. But again, for you, because somebody else may make some other conclusions from it. You can notice the facts, or you can notice the feelings, and then you connect to them, and then you get your own understanding of the painting. Or you don't have to do it, you can just stand back and feel it, feel how it moves here, it's about to move here, and this guy is talking here. The trees are really crazy, just look at them. It's really windy up here. So the trees are moving here, the stag is looking there. You see, it's all moving. You may think, it's just a painting, but it's not static. It's really, really dynamic.
Do you think someone can say they are smiling? Because if you want to see a smile in the picture, as far as I can see from where I sit, the trees and the columns are smiling. No one else is smiling. The stag isn't smiling. The man with the arrow isn't smiling.
Well,
the man with the spear isn't
smiling.
He isn't smiling.
I think the stag is smiling.
Maybe.
Well, he is not afraid.
He's not afraid. He's definitely
smiling.
not afraid.
He's relaxed.
He's relaxed, and he's. I think he's sort of positively curious about the newcomers.
Which again, that's maybe that's why it's still interesting for us, because that's what keeps happening with the, let's say, traditional local culture, local people meeting the conquerors without any fear, any second thoughts. They don't know that these guys, who are the Romans, I mean, the British Empire, that's Romans. Or the United States, that's Romans. Yeah, conquered by Romans. Oh, this great big, now it used to be called the Roman Empire, now it's called the British Empire. It's the same, really, nothing changes. So the new people, again, armored with helmets, with weapons against the stag, a very dangerous animal, you know. And the local cultures, local people don't even suggest that these guys are going to kill them, like in Australia, like in many places. Maybe that's why this painting is still very actual, because the local cultures are like the stag. Not in the sense that they're primitive, not necessarily primitive, but they're not armed. Well, he does have kind of little antlers, horns, but he's not going to use them. And again, they can't help him against all these armored people. And they're trusting, they're friendly, and they're going to meet their death. And these guys are going to come here.
And again, it's only natural, in many sense of the word, to say something that welcomes strangers. I don't mean telephone strangers, I just mean strangers. So it's only natural if you...
That's some water rolling.
Oh yeah.
And maybe he's like, oh, they have dogs. I know dogs. Dogs are animals too. That's okay.
Yeah.
Because that dog is not exactly the same color as the stag. It's the same color as the man. It's kind of in between. On one hand, the dog is the same color as the man. At the same time, it's kind of like the stag in position, in posture.
But again, it is. When you meet someone new, when you meet someone you probably know, you think you know the dogs, you welcome them, you don't suspect them of anything. You don't
like,
really
why
think
do they want to hurt you? You're not going to hurt them.
Yeah, and that is quite natural, that is the ideal world. Whereas the world the conquerors bring with them is the world where you have to be very skeptical about newcomers, where you have to be on alert.
Well, because that's how you behave. Then another similarity is that the conquerors don't think it's a bad thing, it's a wrong thing. They think it's normal to kill a stag. They think, we think, because it's everyone, think that it's not important. Oh, it's just another stag, it's just another culture, they're not really people. You know how the conquerors think about the Aborigines. Yeah, they're not really people, they're like monkeys, like animals. And they used to treat them like animals, and I believe in many places they still treat people like animals, just because they are local, so-called primitive people. So the same is here. The horrible thing. On one hand, it's like irony. At the same time, it's scary because he's going to kill the stag, and he thinks it's okay. He doesn't know that the stag is really, really important. The conqueror doesn't know that the people are not monkeys, they're real people. No, it's just a game.
Yeah, and again, he doesn't see all these numerous connections that go together with the stag. To him, it's just the stag, just the animal to be killed and used maybe for food or something. Whereas in reality, there are all these connections that you just disregard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
It's also funny how these leaves fall in the picture.
And they follow the right direction though. Which I look for. Some convenient music.
So the way to understand the picture is to just concentrate on it. Concentrate on it as a whole, concentrate on some parts of the picture to see the details, and then again to connect the details to replace analysis with synthesis or something, isn't it?
Yeah, more or less.
At least that's an approach. You approach the picture, and then the picture tells its story.
Yeah, and then the next time you look at it, you see something completely different. Because you're completely different each time you look at something. So that would be...
What about art galleries?
Art galleries.
Art galleries. So you go you go to Oxford to see this picture because you are interested in this picture, and alongside it you see lots of other pictures which are just as interesting, just as beautiful, just as capable of telling their stories to you. What do you do? Do you just concentrate on this particular picture because you came to see it? You don't
It is
come to see it.
recommended. It is recommended by clever people who do it a lot. Or they say the best way is to see maybe 5 pictures a day, no more, maybe 6. What I know is that 7 is limits. 7 some things is normally the limit of what a human mind can hold. 7 is a magical number. But if your mind is trained, maybe you can do more. But if your mind is not trained to hold different information,
Not trained, but strained.
Usually, no, you can train yourself. Well, unless you do too much, then it's not good. Well, anyway, but usually it will be less than 7, maybe 4, maybe 5. So people who do it say, if you really want to do it like this, you go to an art gallery, maybe you look at 1 painting, and that's enough. Maybe you look at 2 or 3 paintings. But what do normal people do is they look at all paintings because, well, maybe because you don't have time to go to the gallery every day or once in a while. Maybe you don't have enough money and the gallery is expensive, so you take what you can take, or you are there, you see all of it, you want to see it. And then again, maybe it's good because if you see lots and lots of pictures, same as you read a book of poetry, you go through lots and lots of different poems, and one stays with you, then it means it's really special. Not because you spent hours cross-eyed looking at it, but because it's something that responds to you personally. Of all billions of paintings, billions of poems, you remember that one, you keep thinking about that one, then you know it is special. Then you can come back and look at it closer. Like that painting, it was in the book with other pictures. Again, you see lots of pictures, but you see that one and say, wow, that's amazing. That silver trees and that movement and how it's fragile and deep at the same time. Amazing. And it's kind of soft and romantic because you have the Stag, you have the old ruins back there, which is like mounting the foundations of the world, really old. And you have these small people here, you don't really pay much attention to them the first time you see it. But you see the great sky, you think, that's an amazing way of telling a story. But not focusing on the main characters, but making the sky your main characters. The movement as if these guys are completely irrelevant. Again, like I mentioned before, there's that essay by a Russian writer, Andrei Bitov, The Man in the Landscape. Have you read it? Then again, what he says is that you can't really have a man in the landscape unless it's a small feeling figure somewhere in the background like that. So is it a man in the landscape, or is it a man, or is it the landscape? So we have the column is the main hero. It's a man-made, it represents a culture. That's really big. The sky is the main hero. These people are not big. Important, because you have the red color only in that place, but not big, not that important. Because again, still, red is kind of like that brownish, earthly color here, and blue is like the green of the foliage here, and the blue like water here. So he dissolves. They all dissolve in the picture. Well, they're exactly the same color as the columns you see of the earth below the feet. And he's the same color as the mountain and the water. And the helmet can be like cloud. So if not for his red cloak here, you wouldn't see him. So he's a part of all that, and the stag is an animal, he's natural in this landscape. So if you haven't read that essay, maybe you can read it because it's just a good read. It's not that big. Maybe. So his posture here, a little curve from his head to his belly, then the same curve his bow, then the curve of the slope. See, he's just projecting it. Whoosh. Yeah. Anything else? Oh, we can stop here.
Oh, it's